Hi, I'm Jeff Murrah, and I want to welcome you to, True Texas History. Today we're going to be talking about the Fredonian Rebellion. That's mainly because on this day, December the 16th, 1826, the rebellion essentially started. And I think this is a topic that's going to take a couple of sessions to go ahead and address. But to go ahead and get into the Fredonia Rebellion, I need to go ahead and go through some background issues. One of them, if you remember, James Wilkinson, who I've talked about with the filibusters, he and the governor of the territory, I believe it was Saucedo, they had this kind of working arrangement. And there was an area called the neutral ground, which they essentially allowed a lot of outlaws and ne'er-do-wells to operate with a free hand in that area between Spanish Mexico and the United States. Well, some of the filibusters and ne'er-do-wells and all sorts of people found their way into Texas and settled, they made land claims. And when Mexico was in its early stages, it set up the impresario system. And with the impresario system, when you were dubbed impresario, you were the head of the militia. And of course, in some cases you had to put up your own money. Now, Hayden Edwards went ahead and he put up $50,000 of his own money. Now, $50,000 back in the 1820s was a huge sum of money. And having put that much money on the line, he had a lot at stake. He received the contract in November of 1825, and he proceeded to go ahead and get things in order. Now, I mentioned that about the neutral territory and all that stuff because there were a lot of people that had claimed land in the area. So he comes in, and of course his first order of business, if you don't have the official paperwork for your land, you're going to be kicked off because we need to come up with a good way to settle everything. And this created a lot of tension because some of these people were on land grants that had been in their families from Spanish authorities, and they didn't have the paperwork. The Indians didn't have the paperwork, and some of these land jumpers didn't have the paperwork, so it led to a lot of confusion. And some people were finding land that they had been settled on for a long time being taken away, and other people were taking advantage of the chaos and making false land claims. And so Hayden Edwards had a mess on his hand that he had to take care of in terms of settling all that. And much like any type of land claim, there's always more than one side of the story. Because to the settlers coming into Texas, they paid good money and they expected to have a decent plot of land, and they would get all their paperwork done and settled and filed with Hayden Edwards, and then all of a sudden one of the residents of Mexico comes along, or citizens of Mexico, oh, this was my family's land, you can't be here. And in their mind, the Mexicans were coming around stealing all their land. They had the legitimate title too, and they were losing the title. So you had several sides to this one mess that Edwards was trying to take care of. And in terms of dealing with the mess, not only did Edwards assume command of the militia, he also decided, okay, we're going to have an election of alcalde. Now, the alcalde was a position of being the judge of the area. And so they had an election. The Mexican citizens tended to vote in favor of the other guy that was running, and the Americans voted for Hayden Edwards. So you had a contested election. Almost like today. If folks read history, they'd know how things turn out. But the Mexican citizens went ahead and complained to Salcedo. Salcedo went ahead and intervened, kicked Hayden Edwards out. Hayden Edwards used the opportunity to go ahead and drum up more support for his colony in the United States and try to bring some troops in and militia types from Louisiana. While he was gone, his brother, Benjamin, went ahead and with 30 people seized a building in town called the Old Stone Fort. And they took over and they proclaimed the independent state of Fredonia. No, this is not the Marx Brothers Fredonia. This was the actual Fredonia. And it started things rolling. Now, one of the reasons why they went ahead and they also had the support of the Indian tribes. It seems as though many of the Indian tribes had been promised land from the Mexican government, and the Mexican government never delivered. So they had some issues with the Mexican government as well. And there were two men that were leading the local Indian tribes and getting them involved in this episode. So you've got the Indians, the people coming from America, you had the Mexicans. All of this was a very volatile mix. Hayden Edwards, who was in charge of the colony, was away at the time. So, when you're away and your brother goes ahead and stages a revolution without you, how do you handle it? It creates quite a mess. And this was a situation that Hayden Edwards was going to find himself stepping into when he returned to his colony there in Nacogdoches, Texas. And I will talk about what happened with the colony and how the rebellion was dealt with in the next episode. But before I did that, I felt like you needed to know the background to understand what was going on. So until next time, this is Jeff Murrah wishing you vaya con Dios, my friends. Goodbye.